Welcome, campers!
Hi.
Welcome to episode 2.
Dos.
Dos episodos.
We Spanish now.
We Spanish now. Actually, we are Spanish.
Yeah.
We're a little biracial, little Native American, little Mexicano in us,
Yeah, I'm a little light-skinned complected.
Yeah, we're both really light skin complected.
Damn.
Except summertime, we get really tan.
Yeah, well, you get more dark than me. I look like a shade of brown. Like a light shade of brown.
Well, hi campers. Today it's just going to be one story for you guys. And also, thank you for watching and listening to another episode of Camp Insomnia.
It means a ton.
It does mean a ton. We got a lot of really great feedback from you guys. I will try not to sniffle as much. I know I did that a lot last time. Like every time I was like,
Give him a box of tissues, guys.
I'm sorry. I'm bleh, bleh. I can't even talk. My allergies get really bad. Anyways, but thank you for not calling your mom and having her pick you up from camp. Your camp counselors really appreciate it.
Thank you.
I know sometimes you get really homesick. You don't want to stay at camp.
Or we spooked you too hard last
time. We
time.
spooked you too hard last time. Well, this time it's going to get even worse. So enjoy that. So Jacob's not going to tell a story today.
Sorry, guys. Sorry to disappoint.
He's doing a lot of research for his true crime, so you won't hear it till next Sunday. But for this Sunday, I'm telling my paranormal story, and I'm really, really excited about it. Not many people know about it, and for the most part, I don't think anybody's in a podcast on it. The only reason why I found the story was through TikTok.
What?
Yeah, I found it through TikTok. People were talking about it on TikTok, and I was like, "Oh, let me check it out." Yeah, literally doing dances. But yeah, so I'm really excited to tell you guys about it. But before we start, do we have any business we want to talk about? Like, I don't know. Like, how was your day?
Today was great. I went back to the gym. I haven't been to the gym in over, I want to say 4 or 5 months since. Yeah, it's been a while. So I'm not as fit as I used to be, but Papa's still got it. So
Papa still got it. Oh my god.
But today was great. We slept until 3.
Yeah, well, we were up late last night because I was streaming on Twitch. If you guys want to follow me on Twitch, that scare guy Zach. I play scary games. We were streaming pretty late, playing Dead by Daylight and just having fun.
If you guys haven't played that game, you need to. It is addicting.
Yeah, it's really addicting. It's really fun, really scary to get chased by
Michael Myers, Chainsaw Massacre, Freddy Krueger, Pyramid Head, the pig head chick from Saw.
Yeah.
You name it, it's amazing. It's tense. You need to play it.
Yeah, we're not sponsoring. We're not sponsored by them. But
if you would like to sponsor us, can you please sponsor me?
Literally. But today, I went to the gym as well. I haven't been to the gym in 2 weeks. It was nice.
Yeah. Get that good pump in.
Good pump in. What else? Went to work. Jake and I both work at the same place. We don't like this place all too much because it's very physically exhausting. But we had fun. Although I had this really creepy guy. Remember the creepy guy I was telling you about?
Yeah. The old dude, right?
Well, not too old, but
okay.
Okay, guys. Here's a true crime story with Zach in real life.
An extra story.
An extra story. So I was at work, and we're not supposed to wear headphones, but all of us do. We usually just put one headphone in. But I was listening to some true crime podcasts because that's what I like to do. I like to listen to true crime podcasts. It helps the hours go by fast, right?
Right.
So I was doing what I was supposed to be doing, and this new guy comes up to me and he asks me, he goes, "Oh, are you listening to music?" I'm like, "Yeah." "Well, a podcast." He goes, "Oh, I thought we weren't allowed to." I was like, "Yeah, we're not allowed to listen to podcasts or music or whatever," but none of the managers really care. We have like one earbud in, like we're fine. Yeah. And he goes, "Okay, what kind of podcast you like to listen to?" And I was like, "Oh, I like to listen to a lot of true crime, paranormal. So like I listen to like Morbid, and That's Why We Drink, Last Podcast on the Left."
Okay.
And I was listening to a true crime story about Ed Gein, right?
Yeah. Leatherface.
Yeah. The original, the guy that inspired Leatherface. And he goes, "Oh yeah, that guy, he was really crazy." I was like, "Yeah, that guy like made a doorbell into like a nipple doorbell. He would like." He made like a skin lamp.
He was ahead of his time, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. But no, like it was really insane. And that he was just misunderstood. And I'm like, what? I was like, huh? He goes, yeah, I think it was just really misunderstood. I think most serial killers are just really misunderstood. Like, misunderstood.
This guy's a psychopath.
How? And I looked at him like, misunderstood how? He goes, well, they're
hell?
not all bad people. I'm like, he literally skinned people and hung them from hooks and drained their blood into a cauldron. Like, no.
Yep.
He's misunderstood my ass. So I go, okay, sure, no, they're not, but okay. So I go back to doing my work, whatever. He leaves me alone, and then he comes back later. He goes, oh, what podcast you listening to now?
Can I get like my panic whistle? Just
Yeah, no, literally. So then I was telling him about I can't think of the murderer's name, but I was telling him about him. He said, oh, that guy was such a sweetheart, and he was so nice, and like, again, he just misunderstood. Like he shouldn't have been treated the way he was treated. I was like, no, he raped college girls and beheaded them and would rape their skulls. Like,
What
no,
the hell?
he's misunderstood. No, he needs to be locked away for life. Insane, right? And I was like, this guy is nuts. So I was like, okay. So then he tries to like strike up a conversation.
No.
He's like, so
cut it off.
He's like, what's your name? I'm like, oh, my name is Zach. Oh, hi, Zach. Where are you from? I'm like, I'm from here. Okay, where at from here? I'm from here. Oh, you don't trust me? You don't trust me enough to tell me where you're from? Nope.
No.
I said, I'm from here. Oh, okay. So what do you like to do? Things.
Not talk to you.
Exactly. I was like, things? He goes, oh, okay. So, like, what you doing after work? Probably going home. Oh, okay. So, like, you live around here? I live here. Oh, come on. Like, do you live, like, in Tulsa? Do you live, like, other parts of Oklahoma? I was like, I live around here.
This guy needs to stop.
Oh, so I told Jacob at work on lunch break, and Jake was like, wait for me when you get off. We're walking to the car together. He's probably going to try to murder you. And I was like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, so I haven't seen him around.
He's
often.
stalking you.
I hope not. I don't want to die.
Maybe he's like in your window, just peering through, like.
I'm like
watching
check the
you.
blinds.
Anyone there? No.
If someone responded, I would die.
I would shit my pants.
Anyways, yeah. So that's a little tidbit about us and
Hey.
how we're doing in life.
So much excitement. I love that.
A lot of excitement. So on with the story. Woo! Alrighty, campers, let's gather around the campfire.
Kick up your feet. Roast those marshmallows and weenies.
Roasted weenies.
Roasted weenies.
What's that for iCarly, right?
Yeah. Oh my God.
Throwback. Anyways, yeah. So get around the campfire, put your feet up, get nice and toasty and warm. Get your marshmallows, roasting weenies.
Don't talk to psychopaths that work with you.
Yeah. Don't bring any psychopaths to the campfire with us. They can stay wherever they're at. And today we're going to be talking about the story I found off TikTok. And I know, like, what research?
TikTok.
But it is about search and rescue people.
Okay.
And primarily about this one writer on Reddit. He made a forum on Reddit explaining about some really odd experiences and odd experiences he's had while he was a search and rescue officer for national parks.
Yeah.
We don't know who his name is. We don't know what national park. So it could be any national park within the United States.
Oh, awesome.
And it could all be fake. We don't know.
Yeah, you get the most like weird, like the weirdest people off Reddit.
Yeah. So this is a really cool story off Reddit. I'll post in like the show comments, show notes.
Okay.
The link for it, so you guys can read all the stories because there's so many incredibly crazy stories. I just tried to pick the ones that I thought were the scariest and the ones that I really liked.
Okay.
But they're really crazy. They're really intense.
Okay.
They're super spooky. I'm really, really excited to share with you guys. I don't think anybody's shared it before.
I'm down.
I feel like the cool one, like no one's ever shared this before.
I'm the first one.
And, so these stories are written about like 5 years ago. Back in, I think I have the date on here actually.
Wow.
Let me look at my notes.
She's ancient.
She is ancient.
Love her.
I didn't put the date on here, but I do know. Oh yeah, 5 years ago in 2015.
Oh. 6 years.
No, 6 years. Yeah. I was like, what is math?
2021 makes time so timeless.
What is math? Yeah. So what a search and rescue person is, or the abbreviated version of that is SAR. SAR. So I'll be saying that a lot just because I don't want to
Sounds so menacing. I do SAR.
I do SAR. You should have with SAR.
I work for SAR.
Because I don't have to say search and rescue each and every time. So just so you guys know, the abbreviated version is SAR. SAR. So I'm going to be saying this a lot. So please remember that.
Hey, don't get annoyed, please.
So I guess let me talk about like what that means.
Okay.
And there's not just like with any job, like there's not just one. There's like multiple subcategories.
Okay.
It's like for 3D animation, there's 3D animation, there's 3D character animator, creature animator, and so forth. You know, there's a bunch of different kinds.
Okay.
So what the basic terminology means for SAR means it is the search for and provision of aid to people who are in distress or imminent danger.
Us at work.
Save us, please. Please. So here are the multiple SAR categories. There's stuff called ground search and rescue. It's mainly for like distress on land and waterways. So like searching for people on land who might be in distress. Again, us at work. I also put on here a small note. It can be for like mental illness, getting lost, an accident, death in a location that they can't get to. Like say like if they were stuck in like a cavern, a body. So they would get these people to go down and go get it because a regular police force can't go get it.
That is super dangerous.
or if someone was stuck, in a crevasse.
A crevasse. So.
Also mountain rescue. Again, people stuck on mountain terrain.
Okay.
So we're up and hiking. Oh shit, we climbed too high. Help. There's also cave rescue. That's pretty explanatory. People stuck in caves or lost in them. Mm-hmm. Would not want to be lost in a cave. My claustrophobia would be like
my God.
through the roof.
I'd have a panic attack.
Hold on, I gotta fix
your old man back.
My old man back. We have maritime, and that is people carried out to sea and lost at sea.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then we also have, that was it. Yeah.
Okay.
Was it?
Okay.
Yeah. So those are the different categories. All right.
Okay.
So I found this on Reddit. Like I said, found 6 years ago, 2015. Well, I didn't find it. It was written.
Okay.
Sorry. And basically, this user is a SAR officer for the U.S. Forest Service. And for a few years now, since he's been working there, he has had some really crazy experiences. Some paranormal, some not.
Okay.
Just to give you guys like, a little bit of both. And we're going to talk about it. So I'm going to share some of these. I'm really excited. So I'm going to be reading these pretty much verbatim. Okay. And then we can if you want to respond to whatever you can. Because my iPad is freaking out. Just so that I say the story correctly, because I don't want to mess it up,
right?
Because it's written really, really well.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to be reading this verbatimly, and I'm going to be narrating the narrator. Is that how that works?
Interesting.
Ooh, that's like some meta Matrix stuff.
I'm narrating the narrator. Your God.
So. I have this really cool thing. You guys can't see it on and you guys can't see it in audio. No duh. But I have on my iPad. I have this hand pad thing, so I can hold it with my hand. You guys watching it can see it. I love this thing. It's like
He's so futuristic.
It's like a band that goes over your hand in the back, so you can hold your podcast. Yeah, so I'm holding the podcast.
Hey, wait. It's so handy, but I'm
so lame. Let me turn on this brightness. My poor eyes. Okay, so, alright, so I'm going to start reading this, and here we go. Let me drink some water. Alrighty, campers, get ready. Oh, yeah. Alright. Campers, get ready, get cuddled, sit with your best friend around the fire, because here we go. It's going to be really intense. Go for it. Here we go. I have a pretty good track record for finding missing people. Okay. Most of the time, they just wander off the path or slip down a small cliff, and they can't find their way back. The majority of them have heard the old "stay where you are" thing, and they don't wander off far. But in these 2 cases, that didn't happen. Because I've always heard that if you ever get stuck somewhere, like when we went to church summer camp, and up in the mountains somewhere, learning about Jesus, they said if you ever get stuck in the woods, just stay where you're at. And then 2, if you do wander off, I remember they said you take a Y stick, like a stick that makes a Y, and you place it on the ground, and it will let us know if you're either going right or left.
How?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. Some weird. I don't know if that's true, or maybe they just wanted us to get lost. I don't know. But that was one thing they told us to do. Just stay where you're at.
Find Jesus in the forest.
You find a Y stick, pray to God that someone finds you. So he says, both of these bother me a lot, and I use them as motivation to search even harder on the missing persons cases I get called on. So these must have been really bad.
Oh, wow.
So the first was a little boy, and he was out berry picking with his parents. Oh. He and his sister were together, and both of them went missing around the same time. Wow, that jumped real fast.
Yeah.
Berry picking, and they went missing.
Wow.
Their parents lost sight of them for a few seconds, and in that time, both the kids apparently wandered off. When their parents couldn't find them, they called us, and we came out to search the area. We found the daughter pretty quickly, and when we asked where her brother was, she told us that he had been taken away by the Bear Man.
What?
Exactly.
What?
Exactly. She said this Bear Man, gave her berries and told her to stay quiet.
So you're telling me it's Winnie the Pooh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just hope he's just as nice as
I
Winnie the
hope
Pooh.
so.
And anyways, he wanted to play with her and her brother for a while. Gave her the berries, like, you're so just be quiet. Let's just play. I gave you some berries. Let's chill. The last she saw of her brother, he was riding on the shoulders of the Bear Man, and he seemed calm. Yeah.
Okay.
So of course, our first thought was abduction, but we never found whoa. We never found a trace of another human being in that area. Sorry, I tripped over my words there. The little girl was so insistent that he wasn't a normal man, but that he was tall and covered in hair like a bear, and he had a weird face. We searched that area for weeks. It was one of the longest calls I'd ever been on, and we never found a single trace of that kid.
Wow.
Sounds like the Sasquatch,
Yeah.
right? Maybe it was
Weird,
Sasquatch, or maybe it was just a really burly man that wanted to kidnap a child that had a weird face. So, Dad. Just kidding. So here's his next story. I was teamed up with another SAR officer because we received reports of bears in the area. We were looking for a guy who hadn't come home from a climbing trip when he was supposed to. And we ended up having to do some serious climbing to get to where we figured he'd be. Right?
Okay.
Guy's missing. They got to find him. And they had to, they had to go up this serious climb. So they found him in a trapped crevasse. We love that word.
So fancy.
Crevasse. Crevasse with a broken leg.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Broken leg. And it wasn't pleasant.
Snap.
Yeah. Fun fact: I've broken my leg before. Fractured. Actually, no, not fractured. Different. Fractured my leg before. It hurt.
Also, campers, if you want to call him by his nickname in middle school, it was Broken Boy.
Yeah.
So, Camp Counselor Broken Boy.
Camp Counselor Broken. So he had been there for almost 2 days, and his leg was very obviously infected. We were able to get him to the chopper, and I heard from one of the EMTs that the guy was absolutely inconsolable.
Define that word.
Inconsolable, like he couldn't be calmed. He was like, oh my god.
So he was super hysterical.
Yeah, basically.
Oh, okay.
So he kept talking about how he'd been doing fine, and when he got to the top, a man had been there. So the top of this crevasse.
Okay.
He said the guy had no climbing equipment and that he was wearing a parka and ski pants.
Okay.
Okay.
Weird.
He walked up to the guy, and when the guy turned around, he said he had no face. It was just blank.
Oh my god.
He said he freaked out and ended up trying to get off the mountain too fast, which is why he'd fallen.
Oh shit.
Yeah. He was like, oh my god.
Die.
I gotta go back. Yeah, he fell. right?
How did he not die?
Right? Well, at least he just broke his leg and didn't die. He said he could hear the guy with no face, all night, climbing down the mountain and letting out the most horrible muffled screams.
What?
So this thing was climbing down the mountain towards him. Yeah. So, yeah.
No.
I couldn't even...
No. I'm going home.
Well, he lived. The thing never got him, thank God.
I can only imagine what he'd do to him.
Yeah, take his face? I don't know.
Yeah, suck his face through his hands.
Okay, so here's the next story.
Okay. Oh, what? Oh, okay.
Yeah. See, that's what I mean. These are crazy, huh?
Ooh, what the heck?
Yeah. Again, these are national forests, national parks. This is happening in like Yosemite, Yellowstone.
What the heck is this thing?
I don't know. So here's the next story.
Okay.
One of the scariest things I've ever had happen to me involved the search of a young woman who got separated from her hiking group. We were out until late that night because the dogs had picked up her scent.
Okay.
As they're searching for her. So they found her. She was curled up in a large rotten log. It's like rotted through. You know how you know those logs that are just hollow throughout?
Right.
She was missing her shoes and backpack, and she was clearly in shock.
She got jumped by the bear man.
Oh my God.
Let me take them shoes.
She didn't have any injuries though, and we were able to get her to walk with us back to base ops. Right?
Okay.
Right, cool. Base ops is like what do you like? You know when you go to a national park, they have like that main hub. There's like a store inside. Yeah, it's like that.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, it's just base operations where people go in for work and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. Along the way, she kept looking behind us and asking why the big man with black eyes was following us.
What the heck?
Yeah. So we couldn't see anyone. So we just wrote it off as some like weird symptom of shock. Like, oh, she's like fucking losing
this
it.
crazy lady.
Yeah, because she's just been in this log. She's probably really scared. Which that's what I would probably think too.
Mm-hmm.
So as they got closer to base, she got more agitated, and she kept asking him, the guy, to tell him to stop making faces at her. This figure behind them.
Ooh, what the hell?
She's like, can you stop making faces at me? And they're like, what are you talking about, lady?
Yeah.
Right? Like, there's no one there.
Yeah.
Right? So when we were within sight of base ops, the woman turns to me, and her eyes are about as wide as I can imagine a human could open them. She touches my shoulder and says, he says to tell you to speed up. He doesn't like looking at the scar on your neck. I have a very small scar at the base of my neck, but it's mostly hidden under my collar, and I have no idea how this woman saw it.
That's
That's
the heck?
weird.
How? What the heck?
Yeah, that's weird, huh?
Does he like telepathically like tell her that?
Oh, no.
That's weird. Wait.
Yeah, exactly. So right after she says it, I hear a weird coughing right in my ear, and I just about jumped out of my skin.
Oh no.
So I hustled her to ops, trying not to show how freaked out I was, but I have to say I was really happy when we left that area that night.
What the heck?
Yeah.
No.
So this next little snippet, we're going to talk about, I think, soon, this upcoming case. But he goes, on just about every case, we're always really far into the wilderness. Are you okay?
Sorry.
I'm dying. Am I boring you, Jacob? Just like I bored you.
Yeah, you are extremely boring.
Alrighty, campers. I'm boring.
I'm the fun one.
Put that on a t-shirt. I'm boring.
I'm boring.
So he says, on just about every case, we're really far into the wilderness, and I'm talking 30 to 40 miles, and at some point we'll find a staircase in the middle of the woods. It's almost like if you just took the stairs in your house, cut them out, and put them in the forest. I asked about it for the first time. I saw some, and the other officer just told me not to worry about it and that it was normal. Everyone I asked said the same thing. I want to go check them out, but I was told very empathetically that I should never go near any of them. So I just sort of ignore them now, and when I run into them, I run into them frequently because it happens so frequently. Okay. So he just ignores them now. So I found some really weird pictures.
Okay.
Of just like just to give you an idea what it kind of looks like. So let me pull it up. So I want you to see what this kind of looks like, so you get like a visual.
So it must have been like an old building that was there.
Yeah, like an old building, but then you'll see in the later story that there's no other structure
Like foundation,
around
was there?
foundation. It was just the stairs,
Okay.
and some of them are carpeted, like fresh carpet.
What the heck?
Yeah, and they're clean, no foliage on it or anything.
Oh.
Yeah, it's funky. That's funky. So I'll get into those stories in a minute.
It's the government.
Yeah. So here's another story for you.
Okay.
I know those stairs are really weird, but we'll get into those later. So as missing persons go, I'd have to say about half the calls I get are related to missing people.
Okay.
The others are like rescue calls, people who fall down cliffs and hurt themselves or get injured by fire. And they're usually people who are drunk because they end up falling in the fire like an idiot.
Mm-hmm.
Get bitten or stung by animals or insects, which is all pretty normal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nothing about like no face person who pushed me off the cliff. So he says we're a tight team and we are veterans who are excellent at finding signs of lost people. That's what makes these cases where we never find any trace of them so frustrating. One in particular was upsetting for all of us because we did find a trace of them, but it led to more questions than answers. Mm-hmm. So an older man had been hiking on a well-established trail. So just not like an offbeat one.
Yeah, just like a put
Like a
together
solid
one.
friggin' trail. But this wife called to say that he hadn't come home when he should have. Apparently, he had a history of seizures, and she had worried that he hadn't taken his medication and had suffered one out on the trail.
Oh no!
Yeah, I hope he didn't seize out, and then that's terrifying to think
Gets
about.
eaten by like some rabbit.
Like the bear man. So before you ask, I had no idea why he thought it was okay to go alone or why she didn't go with him, which is true. If you were so worried about it, why didn't you?
Yeah.
But that doesn't matter because he goes, I don't ask that kind of thing because past a certain point, it doesn't really matter.
Mm-hmm.
Which is true. You have to find the person.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's your job. Someone is missing, and it's my job to find them. How weird. Like, we went out in a standard search formation, and it wasn't long before one of our vets with a V, found signs that the guy had gone off the trail.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh no. We grouped up and followed him, spreading out in a fan to make sure we were covering as much ground as possible. Suddenly, a call comes over the radio telling us to all head back to the vet's location, and we come right away. Before this usually means a missing person is injured, and we need a full team to help get them out safely. So he's like, oh, finally.
Yeah.
We found this guy. Let's go get him. So they meet back up, and the vet is just standing at the base of the tree with his hands on the sides of his head. Okay. And I asked my buddy, like, what's going on? And he points up to the branches of the tree. And I almost couldn't believe what I was saying, but there was a walking stick dangling from a branch at least 30 feet off the ground.
Whoa.
The little strap thing was on the handle, had been looped around the branch, and had just been hanging there.
What the heck?
Yeah. So there's no way this old man, right,
Mm-hmm.
seizure guy, could have tossed it up that far, and we don't see any other signs that he's still in the area. So we call up into the tree, but there's obviously no one in it.
Yeah.
And we're all just sort of left scratching our heads. We keep searching for the guy, but we never find him. We even bring our own canines out, but they lose his scent long before this tree.
Huh.
Eventually, the search is called off because there are other calls that they have to attend to.
Yeah.
And past a certain point, there's not much they could do.
Okay.
The guy's wife, Jesus Christ, called us about every day for months, asking if they'd found her husband. I mean, it was heartbreaking.
Yeah. I mean,
Every day, like, I don't know where he is, man. We've tried. He literally vanished.
that's insane.
So I'm not sure why this call in particular was so upsetting, but I think it was just the sheer improbability of it.
Right.
That and the questions were raised. I couldn't even imagine
Like, what
that
happened?
The dogs lost his scent like 30. What was it? What did I say? Like a couple feet prior to even where the tree was at. Yeah, long before the tree. They'd lose his scent
Unless
long
this
before the tree.
Bear thing has like super speed or whatever. I
Or
don't know.
something else.
Yeah.
And then they put his walking stick 30 feet up in the tree. That's really high up.
Yeah.
That's weird. He just vanished. Poof.
I don't even know.
Yeah. So this is the guy. This is like his questions were. He said, "How the hell had this guy's cane ended up there?" Right, which is a good question. That's what we were just talking about. Did someone kill him and toss it up there as some weird trophy? Right. We did our best to find him, but it was almost like a taunt. We still talk about that case from time to time. And maybe someone did murder him and was like, let's throw everybody out, threw his cane up there.
But how did they get onto that branch?
How did they get on the branch? How did they get up 30 feet up a tree?
And then, like, have, like, no other footprints there, you know what I mean?
Yeah, or
like,
any other sense?
I don't know.
I don't know. It's weird. And there was no other signs that anybody was in that area?
Like, no signs of, like, struggles or anything.
Struggle or, like, in the forest, like broken branches and stuff. Nothing.
That's
That's weird, right? That's weird.
Yeah.
Mystery. So here's our next one. So one of my first jobs as a trainee was a search op for a 4-year-old kid that had gotten separated from his mom. This was one of those cases where we knew we were going to find him because the dogs were on a strong scent trail, and there were clear signs that he was in the area. So we ended up finding him in a berry patch.
Ooh.
A mile from where they had last seen the kid. The kid wasn't even aware that he'd wandered out that far. One of the vets brought him back, which I was glad for because I'm really not good with kids. And I'm really hard to find out. What a mood.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like, don't leave with a child.
I feel that.
Like, hey, you little human.
Little man.
Wow, we found you.
Do you need help getting back?
So as my trainer and I headed back, she decided to take me on a detour to show me one of the hot spots where we tend to find missing people. It's a natural dip in the land near a popular trail, and people usually move downhill because it's easier. We hike out there. It's a few miles away, and we get there in about an hour or so. As we're walking around that area, she's pointing out places she's found people in the past, and I start to see something in the distance. Oh God, I hope not. Now, this area we're in is about 8 miles from the main parking area. There's no back roads that can take you any closer to it. If you don't, there's no way to get back there.
Right.
You have to hike in there. But we're on state protected land, which means that there can't be any kind of commercial or residential development out here. So it's a wilderness. Right? A lot of these national forests have been there since like forever, like 1700s, where they I don't know, solidify that it's a national park. So the most you'll ever see is a fire tower or a makeshift shelter that homeless people think that they can get away with. Right? I'm sad because they end up tearing them down.
Oh.
Yeah. But I can see from here that whatever this thing has straight edges. And if there's one thing you learned quickly is that nature rarely ever makes straight lines. She just hangs back and lets me wander over and to check it out. I get within 20 feet of it and all the hair on my back of my neck stands up. And it's a staircase.
Okay.
It's a staircase. So in the middle of the fucking woods. That's what he says. In the proper context, it would literally be on the most benign thing ever. It was just a normal staircase with beige carpet and about 10 steps tall. But instead of being in a house where it obviously should be,
right,
it was out here in the middle of the woods. The sides aren't carpeted, obviously, and I can see the wood, and I can see what the maid is wood. I can see what the maid is wood of. I can see what the I'm having a stroke.
Oh my God.
Oh God, I can see the wood it's made of, so he knows what type of wood it is. Jesus Christ.
Wow, that was a journey.
I just died. Jesus. So he states it's almost like a video game glitch where the house had failed to load completely and the stairs were the only thing visible.
Weird.
Right?
Okay.
So I stand there and my brain is like working in overtime trying to make sense of like what he's saying. My trainer comes and stands next to me and she just stands there casually looking at it as if it's like the most least interesting thing in the world. I asked her what the hell this thing is doing here and she just chuckles and she says, "Get used to it, rookie. You're going to see a lot of them."
What the hell is that supposed to mean?
I got that. So he starts to move closer, but she grabs my arm hard and she goes, "I wouldn't do that."
Then tell me why it's here.
She says her voice is casual, but her grip is tight, and I just stand there looking at her. You're going to see them all the time, but just don't go near them. Don't touch them. Don't go up to them. Just ignore them.
Something ain't right.
Yeah, so I start to ask her about it, but something in the way she looked at me tells me that it's best if I don't.
How about I'm going to go and try and touch it, and you go try to stop me and tell me why I can't do it.
Yeah, so we end up moving on, and the subject doesn't come up again for the rest of my training. She was right, though. I'd say about every 5th call I go on, I end up running across a set of stairs. Sometimes they're relatively close to the path, maybe within 2 or 3 miles. Sometimes they're 20 to 30 miles out, literally in the middle of nowhere, and I can only find them during the broadest searches of training weekends. They're usually in good condition, but sometimes it looks like they've been out there for like years. But they're really decrepit.
Baby G's bedroom.
Oh, Baby G. You can let her in. So we let Baby G back in. Baby G, you make a cameo every podcast now.
She's making her grand entrance.
Oh, hi G. I just lay down. Yeah, you're so cute. Hi.
Hi, baby.
Hi, babies. He has tried talking with people about this.
Okay.
But they just give the same response that the trainer did. It's normal. Don't worry about it. They're not a big deal. But don't go close to them or up to them or touch them. When my trainees, now he has trainees now because he's a vet now, when they ask him about it now, he just gives them the same response. He's really hoping someday he'll get a better answer, but it hasn't happened yet. So here's our next story, right? Get ready. This one's a doozy.
Go for it.
So my buddy had been a STAR officer for about 7 years now. He started when he was a junior in college, and he had a very similar experience when he first encountered the stairs. So I put this in here right after because you guys need to know a little bit more about these stairs.
Okay.
You guys need to know because this one's freaky.
Just don't run into them in the forest and don't touch them.
No, don't touch them. Don't go near
Don't
them.
touch them.
And now you'll know why.
Okay.
You ready?
I'm ready.
All right.
Go for it. I need the explanation.
Yeah. So his trainer told him almost the same thing mine did, which was never to go near them, touch them, or ascend them. For the first year, he did just that, but apparently his curiosity got the better of him, which it would probably get the better of me too.
Of course.
And on one call about a missing person, he broke away from the line and went to go check a set of them out.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd probably do the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, why are they so? What do you think?
I think.
What's your theory?
I think that these stairs are either like, I don't know, like a dimension to somewhere else or whatever, or someone gets kidnapped and they go up these stairs and go into their dimension.
Oh yeah, maybe that's where they're missing.
And that's why they can't find them. And
yeah, maybe that's where the
bear man goes.
Oh no, maybe that's where that man who had seizures went. He went up a set of stairs.
Ooh.
It doesn't explain.
But the stick part.
The stick, I don't know.
Maybe it's like
maybe the stairs were there and he put the stick on the freaking hook and then all of a sudden he poofed.
Or maybe when you go up them, like the building manifests itself only to you, but said person was on the bottom, they couldn't see it, but only you can see it. I don't know. Weird.
Well, let me tell you the story.
Okay.
He said they were about 10 miles from the path where a teenage girl had vanished, and the dogs were following a scent. Okay. He was on his own, lagging behind the main group when he saw a set of stairs off to his left. They looked like they were from a new house because the carpeting was pristine and white. He said that as he got closer, he didn't feel any different or hear any weird noises. He was expecting something to happen, like bleeding from his ears or collapsing, but he got up up next to them and didn't feel anything. The only thing he said that was odd was that there was absolutely no debris on the steps. No dirt, leaves, dust, anything. And there didn't appear to be any signs of animals or insect activity in the immediate area.
What the
Weird,
heck?
right?
Okay.
Which is strange. It was like things were avoiding them, and more like they just happened to be in a relatively barren part of the forest. So it can either be a very barren part, or they're just avoiding these stairs. That's weird.
Yeah. What the?
Right?
Okay. Weird.
So he touched the stairs.
Oh boy.
And he didn't feel anything except that sort of sticky feeling you get from new carpet. Making sure his radio was on, he slowly climbed the stairs. He said it was terrifying because the way they had been stigmatized, he wasn't really sure what was going to happen to him.
Oh,
Because
okay.
everybody just kept saying, never
They're-
go up them.
yeah.
Never. And he's like, oh, shit, what's going on? He joked that half of him expected to be teleported to some other dimension, and the other half was watching for like a UFO to come swoop down and grab him. But when he got to the top with little event, and he stood there looking around, nothing was going on. Got to the top and was like, okay.
Huh, okay.
But he said the longer he stood on the top step, the more he felt like he was doing something very, very wrong. He described it as if, like, the feeling you get when you're in a part of a government building you have no business being in.
Oh.
As if someone was going to come arrest you or shoot you in the back of the head at any second. Like that weird feeling. He tried to brush it off, but the feeling got stronger and stronger. And that's when he realized that he couldn't hear anything anymore.
What?
The sounds of the forest were gone, and all he could hear was his own breathing.
Whoa.
Yeah. It was like some kind of weird, awful tinnitus, but more oppressive. He climbed back down and rejoined the search, and he didn't mention what he'd done. But he said the weirdest part came after.
Ooh.
His trainer was waiting back at the welcome center after the search ended for the day, and he cornered my buddy before he could leave. He said his trainer had this look of intense anger.
Oh.
And he had asked, like, what's wrong with you? You look so pissed.
Mm-hmm.
You went up to them, didn't you?
Shit.
My buddy said it wasn't phrased as a question. He asked how his trainer knew, but his trainer just shook his head. Because we didn't find her, the dogs lost her scent. So she goes, you went up to them, didn't you? Because we didn't find her, the dogs lost her scent.
What?
Yeah. My buddy asked what that had to do with anything. My trainer asked how long he'd been on the stairs, and my buddy said more than a minute. The trainer gave him this really awful, almost dead-eyed look and told him that if he ever went up another stairs again, he'd be fired immediately. The trainer walked away, and I guess he never answered any more questions that my buddy had asked him about it since.
What is so ominous about these stairs?
Right?
Like, what are they not telling them?
Isn't it weird?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
What
know.
does it mean?
I don't know.
So maybe like they're on like this trail. They're trying to find this missing person, and maybe this other person goes up the stairs, and maybe like the evidence of that missing person disappears into thin air. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like it's all covered up, like they can't find it.
I don't know.
But say if they didn't go down up the stairs and they're trying to find the person, maybe it might be easier to find the person. Like the evidence is there, like it never disappeared in the first place. I don't know. All these conspiracies.
I don't know. It's weird, huh?
Weird. What the heck?
So here's another one. This one's really scary.
Okay.
They were out doing a recon for mountain lions because there have been several reportings of these mountain lions in the last couple days. One of our jobs is to scout out the areas where these animals are seen to make sure that they're not in the areas so we can warn people and close off those trails.
Okay.
He was out on his own in a very heavily forested part of the park toward dusk when he heard what sounded like a woman screaming in the distance.
Okay.
Right? Now, as most of you know, when the mountain lion screams, it almost sounds like a woman being brutally murdered. Have you heard it?
No.
Let me play you a clip.
All right.
It's for you.
That's terrifying.
They're terrifying.
Okay. What the heck?
And they did it to let everyone's like, this is my territory. But it sounds like a woman screaming.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's unsettling. So my buddy radioed back and let ops know that they had heard one, and that he was going to go figure out like where his territory started so that he can like mark off the area.
Mm-hmm.
He heard the mountain lion scream a couple times more, always at the same spot, and determine the approximate area from the mountain lion's territory. He was about to head back when he heard another scream, this time within only a few yards of him.
Oh.
So it's close. And mountain lions, like, they can do some damage. They can kill you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, of course, he freaks out and starts heading back at a much faster pace because the last thing he wants to run into is a gone down mountain lion and get mauled to death.
Yeah.
So as he got back to the path and started heading back, the screaming followed him. And then he broke into a jog.
Yeah.
And he was about a mile from Ops. The screaming stopped, and he turned around to see if it was following him.
Okay.
It was almost like nighttime by this point. So kind of dark, like dusk.
Mm-hmm.
He said in the distance, just before the path rounded a corner, he could see what looked like a male figure. He called out to them, warning them that the paths were closed and that he needed to come back to the welcome center. The figure just stood there, and my buddy started to walk over. When he was just about 10 yards away, the figure took, as he described, an impossibly long step towards him and let out the same scream my buddy had been hearing.
What the fuck?
My buddy didn't even say anything. He just turned and sprinted back to Ops, never looking behind him. By the time he got back, the screaming had moved back into the woods. He never mentioned this to anyone else, just said that there was a mountain lion in the area and that they needed to close off the paths until the animal could be located and moved.
Oh my god, no. What the heck?
That's freaking scary.
What?
Y'all, don't go to forests. Don't go to national forests
Don't
anymore.
talk to any strangers.
No, especially when it's screaming at you. So here's another story. This one's really sad. This is really gruesome, so get ready for this one.
Okay.
A firefighter who was helping us at a training op told me about a call he'd gone supposedly to help rescue a kid from an absolutely massive tree. He said they didn't give him the details, but that they just needed him to come out because they lacked the proper equipment. He had been called out specifically because this thing was so huge that even the SAR officers didn't even feel safe climbing it.
Wow.
He had been a tree trimmer before joining the VFD,
Mm-hmm.
which is Voluntary Fire Department, I think is what it is. So it was easy enough for him to grab his old equipment and come help out. I hope that's what VFD stands for. He was led out about 2 miles, and the team stopped at one of the biggest trees in the area and pointed up. He laughed and asked the operating captain how the kid had gotten up there, and he made some joke about the old cat in the tree thing, but the captain just shook his head and told him to get up there and get the kid down.
Oh, okay.
He said he knew something was up, but he didn't push it. He said as he climbed the tree, he started wondering if they were playing a prank on him because they were so like chill about it. Just go get the kid. Get the kid. Just get it. Something wrong? No.
But you got it.
You got it.
Go get the kid.
Yeah. So he said there's no way this kid could have been able to climb this giant, massive tree, like a sequoia. Like it's massive. If you've ever seen a sequoia, they're huge trees. It was massive at the base, but about halfway up it started tapering, which is like what most trees do. He goes, I almost had to turn back a few times because I really didn't think it was going to hold me, but he said he kept going. And when he was just about at the top, he saw a flash of blue in the branches.
What?
Yes, almost at the top of this giant tree. Remember, it's thinning at this point.
Yeah.
So he's thinking it's going to break. So he sees this flash of blue at the top. This flash of blue.
A UFO.
No. You'll see. I saw the kid's shirt sort of caught in the branch. So the blue was a shirt.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I called out to him. I told him to come near me if he could, but the kid didn't say anything. So I kept moving, calling the kid's name and telling him not to be scared, that I was there to help him. But by the time I got to him, I knew he wasn't going to answer me.
Okay.
So I found him, or what was left of him.
Oh, what?
He was cradled in the fork of a branch, and the fact that he was up there was sheer luck. If he'd fallen any other way, he would have come crashing down, and it wouldn't have mattered though, because this kid was dead long before he ended up in that tree. I don't know who put him there, or how, or why, but it was fucking sick.
What the hell?
The kid's intestines had popped out of his mouth, and they were hanging in the branches. It was like some sick fucking Christmas tree, and they were draped all over everything.
What?
So intestines out like this, out of his mouth, and hanging on branches.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Krampus.
Yeah. Also, he got a better look and saw that they even popped out of his ass, and his guts were hanging out at the bottom of his pants.
What the fuck?
Yeah. His eyes were gone. I assume shoved out from whatever force caused him to, quote, fucking pop like a stress ball. You ever seen a body that had been floating in water for a long time? How their tongues kind of swell up and stick out? he was like that. I remember because there were flies crawling all over it.
Ah!
I think I must have gone into shock because I just pushed the kid down with a stick.
Oh, shit.
That he broke off a branch. He just pushed him out of the tree.
Dude.
Just kind of poked him until he fell. I don't know why I did that. I almost lost my job because of that. But man, just the thought of hauling that kid down over my shoulder the whole way, gathering up his guts and coiling them around me like a rope so they wouldn't get snagged, I couldn't do it. I've seen a lot of dead kids, but this one was the worst.
Holy shit.
More than I'd ever admit, I'd seen a kid who hid in a full bathtub during a firehouse and it boiled him alive. It turned him into literal soup.
Oh.
But this, I don't know what did this. But the thought of touching a kid's body made me feel I was going to lose my mind. I heard him hit the ground and I figured everyone would freak out, but they knew he was dead when they sent me up there.
Wow.
Because they didn't react. They didn't see anything. They didn't shout or freak out or anything. I got to the bottom and I started to get up in the captain's face, asking him how he thought he was sending me up there when he knew damn well the kid was dead. Like, he was getting pissed. But he just told me that it was none of my concern, and he thanked me for getting the evidence down. I remember he said that. I remember it specifically because it was weird that he phrased it that way. The evidence. Like, he wasn't even a person. Like, he'd never been a little kid who got lost and had something really crazy happen to him.
What?
The captain had a crew lead me back out of the woods, but he and 2 others stayed behind. And I thought that was weird. Why wouldn't they have let me help get the kid out? I tried asking the guys leading me out if, discuss, about this case, this open case. I asked him what he thought happened to the kid, and he got really pensive and told me and thought about it for a bit. He goes, it would have been a crush injury based on how his guts came out like that. But with those injuries, you see massive contusions all over the skin, like obvious trauma. This kid, this wasn't like that. It was almost like the kid got stuck in a big vacuum and it had his guts sucked out. But even then, there was no trauma, not at all. So it just bothers me, man. It bothers the hell out of me.
What the?
I don't even know how that happens. It's weird, right?
Yeah.
It's scary, and it's weird.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
But what are they, what? How do they?
I don't know. I don't know.
They know some shit.
Yeah, they know some shit. They know a lot of shit. These forests know a lot of weird stuff happening. I don't know what it is. But it's weird, huh? It's scary.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Campers, our campsite is very safe.
Promise.
We live in the good woods. The non-scary woods.
Elves and gnomes and unicorns.
Oh, I don't know about elves and gnomes. I know some stories I'll tell about later that are really scary.
The good elves.
We just have nothing but trees and nice air
And birds.
and birds and trees and won't suck you up and have your guts spew out.
My God.
All right, so I have 2 stories left.
Okay.
I think this one's really long. I think, and that's just because you'll see why.
Okay.
It's pretty spooky. Okay. So on the topic I get asked about a lot here and in real life involves things like the rake and the wendigo and other related legends, because those primarily live out in the woods and the forest. I can't honestly say that I know a lot about them, but based on some light reading I can say I've learned and heard some stories that seem to be loosely related to them. Okay. So it's up to us.
Okay.
You've heard the old legends that come from somewhere, and I'm sure some of those are true, but you can only take them with a grain of salt. You have to. It's sort of like working in a hospital, I imagine, because some of these stories, I don't know. You could spend all day thinking about how many people have died out here and how they're probably ghosts or whatever you want to call them all over the place, but it doesn't do you any good. It just makes it hard to do your job.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't imagine having to think about these really crazy cases all the time while working out in the forest and all these legends you have to think about. Dolores just texted me. Let me mute.
Hi,
myself.
Dolores.
So this is his friend KD telling the story. Okay. I grew up in Central Oregon, and there's a reservation called Warm Springs about 2 or so hours from where I lived. I only mention that because a lot of people in my area have friends there, and a lot of land in that area belongs to that tribe. When I was a kid, I used to go camping up there. Not on the res, of course, but in that area. And I met a lot of kids who grew up there. I got to know one kid really well, and his name was Nolan. And we ended up hanging out a lot with our families because in the area.
Yeah.
And our folks got to know each other, so we'd all get in touch and camp around the same time. We'd camp for about 2 weeks, so we were out there for a long time, which is what we would do.
Yeah.
With our friends and family. We'd all get together, we'd go camping.
Mm-hmm.
It was always fun to do. We get to see those friends one time a year.
Yeah.
So I guess he asked if he camped in an RV. And he said, yeah, my dad had one. So I guess it really wasn't camping.
Mm-hmm.
But we'd take our tents and stuff and set them up anyway. And put them away from the camp most nights. So
Mm-hmm. So you could be in the wilderness.
Yeah, to be in the wilderness away from their parents. I didn't like sleeping in there because I liked being outside.
Mm-hmm.
So 1 year, Nolan and I were out there. I think we must have been 12 or so. We wanted to go out and camp near the river because we wanted to try night fishing, which is what we would do with Dad. It was really fun.
Yeah.
I think it must have been about a third of a mile away from the camp, far enough away that we couldn't hear or see anyone else. I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
We were messing around most of the day. I don't really remember much about it, but we ended up building a fire at some point, and it was really impressive because he had his flint to start it, and it was really cool. If you haven't seen flint, it's pretty fun to light it because it sparks. I got him to teach me how to do it, and we lit some stuff on fire, which looking back was really stupid because it was the middle of freaking summer, and we could have started a forest fire. But thankfully, they didn't start anything major, and when it got dark, they sat around and talked about whatever it is 12-year-olds talk about. I don't really remember, but what I do remember is that at some point, he looked over my shoulder at the river and asked me if I could see something.
Okay. Oh, weird.
The way our camp was set up, we were about 10 feet from the river, and we were at the widest point. So it was probably about 20 feet to the other bank. It gets hot up there in the summer, but the water's still cold, which is important.
Mm-hmm.
I look over my shoulder, and I could see something wading in the river on the other side. From where we were, it looked like a deer, but we couldn't really tell because of the fire.
Mm-hmm.
So, because the light can blind you. So from where we were, it looked like a deer, right? So he got up closer to look at it and saw a pair of antlers, and he figured it was like a buck in the water, which is okay. There was a deer out there swimming. But I thought it was weird that it was just wading in the water, and it was definitely heading towards us. And I asked Nolan what he thought we should do.
Mm-hmm.
He's looking at the fire with this weird expression and tells me to sit down and shut up.
Ooh, what the fuck?
So
he knows.
Yeah, so I
something.
do. Because I'd never seen him act that way before. He's whispering at me to ignore it.
What?
Yeah. And to just keep talking like we were, but I couldn't think of anything to say.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, I'm so excited. This is really. So he was saying something about an episode of some show, but I could hear the deer coming through the water. So I wasn't really paying any attention, and I kept trying to see over his shoulder, but every time I did, he sort of hit me on the arm to make me look at him. I wasn't really scared, I remember. I was just kind of confused.
Mm-hmm. What the hell?
Yeah.
Ooh.
So, but then I hear the deer come out of the water, and oh God, I'm so scared. I could kind of make out what it looked like, and I realized it wasn't a deer because whatever it was walking on 2 legs.
Oh my God. We gonna die.
So I started to get up. I was super freaked out, but Nolan just yanked me back down and talked louder about his television show, and I could tell he was just as scared as I was, probably even more.
Yeah.
So he leaned in and poked the fire with the stick, and he whispered that whatever I do, I can't speak to it. I could see it come closer, and it stood right behind Nolan's back.
Oh.
I was about ready to pee my pants, and I think I probably would have run if I'd been alone, but I didn't want to leave Nolan, so I just kept sitting really still and sneaking glances at it.
Yeah.
It wasn't that tall, but the way it carried itself was just wrong. Like its center of balance was screwed up. I can't really describe it, but it's kind of like it kept shifting too far forward. It just stood there behind Nolan for a long time, and eventually Nolan ran out of things to say, and we just kind of sat there for a second.
Oh my god.
Oh,
What? How do you even
so I
keep your
couldn't
cool?
see its face, but I could see its eyes. They were really cloudy and milky. And if you want to know what they look like, find the scene from Lord of the Rings where Frodo falls in the lake and all the dead people are floating towards him. And he falls backwards into the water. I can show you the clip later.
Yeah.
But they look like that. I'll have to show you. That's what his eyes look like. So all I saw were these two white eyes floating above Nolan's head and a really vague shape of the antlers coming out of its head. I don't know what my face looked like, but at exactly the same time, Nolan and I fucking booked it out of there, and we ran nonstop back to the main camp.
Oh my god.
My pants were soaked with pee, so I took them off as we were running and threw them in the bushes. We stopped once we were in front of my dad's RV, and we couldn't see anything chasing us, so we stood there and caught our breath. I asked him what that thing was, and he said he didn't know. He and his grandpa had only warned him that if anything ever came up to him when he was out in the desert, he was never ever supposed to talk or listen to anything it had to say. I wanted to know if he'd heard it talking too, and he said the only thing he had been able to understand was help you. So the thing was talking to Nolan, saying help you. Help you.
What?
So I think we ended up sleeping in the RV with my parents, and the next night we went back out and didn't see anything. So this reminds me in a lot of ways of the Wendigo legend. There's a phrase that's used to describe it, and I think it fits perfectly, which is the Wendigo, and it is a spirit of lonely places. I thought I had only 2 more stories left. Looks like I have another 2 left.
Oh.
Yeah, this one is just as freaky as the last.
Okay.
All right. So this one says, if I can find my spot. Oh, here it is. I know sometimes when I'm out in the wilds, where I know there's no one around me for miles and miles, I get this kind of weird craving that I can't really explain. I don't know if it happens to anyone else, but it's a desire to consume. Like eat.
Yeah.
It's not like I crave anything in particular, but more of this weird, distracting hunger that comes from every part of my gut. I never had that feeling out in the woods, but
nope.
He just made me really hungry.
I mean, around Thanksgiving maybe, but
yeah, not out in the woods.
Yeah.
I always wanted to find out more about this faceless man, if I was able, and I found a few similar things. Remember the faceless man, the guy that hike in the ski outfit or whatever? Mm-hmm. So I asked around my circle of friends, and one of them said that he was out doing repairs at a park in his area, and he saw something kind of like that. Are you ready?
I'm scared.
We were having dinner in town, 5 of us, including myself. So this guy, he was repainting an information booth and heard a man ask him for directions to the nearest campsite. Mm-hmm. He didn't turn around because he was up on a ladder, but he informed the man that there weren't any campsites nearby, and that if he headed down the road about 4 miles, he'd find one at another park.
Yeah.
He asked if he could be of any other help, but the man said no and thanked him. My friend kept painting, but he was listening because he never heard the man leave.
Ooh.
Because when he would turn around, he was just painting. He never heard the guy walk off. So the guy just standing there watching him. So the second he came up and talked to me, the hairs on my neck stood up, but I wasn't sure why. I just had this really uneasy feeling about the whole thing, and I wanted to finish painting and to get out of there. I figured maybe part of it was that I couldn't turn around to look at him, but something just fell off. Right? So there was also this weird smell floating around even before this guy talked to me, kind of like old period blood.
Ew, what the hell?
I had looked around to see what was causing it, but I didn't find anything. So I waited for the guy to walk away, but I didn't hear him leave, which made me think he was just standing there watching me. So I asked again if I could do anything for him, and he didn't answer. I knew he was there, though, because I hadn't heard him leave, so I did this awkward turn on the ladder to look down and see what he was doing. Now, I have to admit, it could have just been my brain had fucked up, but I swear to you, Russ, for a split second, I turned around, that fucker didn't have a face.
Oh.
It was almost concave and totally smooth. And I just about had a fucking heart attack because I couldn't wrap my brain around what I was seeing. I think I started to say something, but then there was this kind of pop inside my head, and suddenly he was looking like a normal guy.
What the hell?
I must have looked really weird because he asked me if I was okay, and I was like, yeah, I'm fine.
So he can like change his face back?
I don't know.
Ooh.
Maybe his brain messing with him. He asked about the campsite again, and I point to where he asked to go, and he's like, "Oh, I'm not from around here. Can you help me get there?"
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is when I know something was really up because there's no way this guy got out here and didn't know where he was, and for that matter, there's no car around. So how did he get here in the first place?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "Sorry, but I can't take you anywhere in my company vehicle." And he was like, "Please, I don't really know where I am. Can you come with me and help me get there?" So now I'm seriously weirded out, and I start wondering if this is some kind of ambush or whatever.
Yeah.
And I told him I could call him a taxi and to come out and take him where he wants to go. And I pull out my phone, and he just goes, "No," and quickly walks away. So this guy was leaving. He was done finishing the painting, right?
Okay.
So he said the guy that was asking questions was watching him leave in his car. And right before he turned the corner, that man he saw took a big step back into the trees and kind of dissolved into the forest.
Oh my god.
He goes, maybe it was just dark, so he blended in, but it felt more like he just melted away.
Ew.
This is the narrator, the guy who's writing these stories, right? And this is what he says. He goes, things have deteriorated here to a degree that I can't foresee, or that I didn't foresee. I didn't think how much writing about these things that are happening out here would affect every single part of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that was stupid of me. Maybe I should have considered it more seriously, but honestly, I just thought I was writing about things that a few people would want to hear. I didn't think I would get this much attention, which, how can you not get this much attention?
Yeah.
This shit is interesting and scary. People now ask me about the stairs. It doesn't happen every day. But when it does happen, I never really know what to say. My bosses know someone is talking about them, and I'm sure that if they know if they know that the higher ups know that someone's talking about these stairs.
Ah.
And I can tell you that they're not happy about it. I've been formally told that I'm not to speak a word about them to anyone, which is part of the reason that this will be my final update. I can't risk my job for this. As much as it's been wonderful to get all these things off my mind, I still do love to work here, and I need to be out here.
Mm-hmm.
If anything, being aware of what's really going on is enough reason to stick it out. I may not be able to tell people that they're out there, but if I see them, I can direct traffic away to somewhere safer. Because of the amount of attention these stories have gotten, I've heard a lot of stories being swapped back and forth. I've heard so many I can't even remember most of them. The ones I do remember are the ones that I wish I could forget. One story that made the rounds was about a young woman who disappeared upstate. Initially, everybody assumed that she was a runaway. She didn't come from a great home life, so it wasn't really any kind of surprise that she just cut and run.
Mm-hmm.
But people started coming forward saying that they'd seen her around the park shortly before she vanished. So some of the rangers in the area went out to make sure she hadn't hung herself or something on any of the back trails.
Yeah.
It took a while, but they did find her. Well, not all of her. Just half of her tongue and a quarter of her lower jaw.
What the
Very clean cuts from what I heard, and they never found the rest of her.
What is happening?
Yeah, so many stories about children. Some of them going missing and turning up in caves, wedged in impossibly tight spaces. Some of them being found on mountain peaks or at the bottom of sheer gullies. Missing shoes, missing socks, or found in perfect condition despite them being miles and miles away where they vanished. So many stories of black-eyed people wandering from the woods and calling out into the night, mimicking the sound of running water or a bobcat screaming. One man in particular goes to every news station he thinks will listen to him and tells the same story.
Mm-hmm.
He was deer hunting. He had camped out in a very remote area and woke up because something was scraping against his tent. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Good luck.
Oh god.
This one's freaky as hell. He thought it was a raccoon or a fox until the thing pressed its face against the door of the tent. At which point he could clearly make out a human nose and a mouth. He kicked at it, but it leapt back and it was gone by the time he opened the tent flap. Gun at his side.
Yeah.
He fired 2 warning shots, and then the sound had faded. He heard a snap behind him. A man was standing at the edge of the campsite. The man was not wearing any clothing.
Ew.
But he also didn't possess any kind of human flesh. As a hunter described it, the man was made up of some kind of amalgamation of raw meat and hair, like a flesh body.
Ew.
As if someone had scooped up roadkill and molded it to the vague shape of a human.
What?
The face was lumpy and the only approximation of a human face. The only thing opened was its lopsided mouth, and from it came the sound of the gun the hunter had fired.
What the
It
fuck?
did it twice before mimicking the sound of a tent zipper and then fled into the night on all fours.
What the hell? Oh, no. No. No.
That
What the?
is nightmare fuel.
What the fuck?
Exactly. Don't go camping. Yeah.
Wow.
So here's another one.
Oh boy.
These are like little short ones. A young couple went out for a hike in the very rocky areas of the park. Reported to me yesterday that they had seen something strange out on a peak that I'm very familiar with. They were taking turns looking through a pair of binoculars when they noticed a man or a hiker climbing up a very steep part of the cliff face. He watched the man scale the slope, and it didn't occur to him until the incident was over that the person had no climbing gear. So like free climbing.
Mm-hmm.
When the climber reached the top of the peak, which is about 5 miles away, they turned and faced the young man. So they're watching him.
Yeah.
And the person climbing turned and looked at them.
Oh.
Like it saw, like the whatever
Oh.
that was climbing, that man on the hill,
Yeah.
the mountain would turn and looked at them.
What the hell? Oh,
Yeah,
what?
even though they're miles away with
What?
binoculars. He said whoever or whatever this person was looking right at them. The climber waved in an exaggerated manner before snapping in half at the waist, sideways, and leaping off the peak.
What?
So he went, jumped off the peak.
What the fuck?
Yeah, snapping in half, Jacob.
Ha.
The young man didn't see where the climber landed. I sent them on their way with assurances that I'd check it out, and I lied. He didn't check it out. I won't be turning in a report because there are 10 others exactly like it. The climber is well known in that area, and I don't question it anymore.
Well, damn.
Exactly. There are so many things I won't ever be able to understand about my job, and it would take me years to relate all of these things I've heard in the last few months. When I feel like my job isn't in jeopardy, I will come back. And maybe in a different format, but I will come back. Thank you all for sticking by my side and enjoying the things I've talked about. If you go out into the woods, I encourage you to be safe. Bring water, food, survival equipment. Let people know where you're going and when you'll be back. Don't go onto uncharted paths unless you know exactly what you're doing. And above all, don't touch them, don't look at them, and don't go up to them.
Oh my god.
And that is the end of my notes for search and rescue in National Forests for the United States of
That
America.
has scarred my brain.
Isn't that wild?
Yo.
Did you like this paranormal?
This was pretty good.
It was freaky, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't think. Like, I hate that. That's why I say that one for last, the fleshy one. Because, oh.
I can't even, like, process any of that. Makes you wonder, too, like, you know, conspiracy, like the government, what they know and what's in the forest and all these mystical creatures, and maybe these are like demons or whatever. I don't know.
I don't know, but it makes me not want to go to forest anymore. Makes me not want to go to Ungleton's property.
I kind of want to go just to see for myself. I mean, I wouldn't mind. I mean, if I get fucking yelled, oop, but like,
Oop, oop.
but like, I don't know.
This is wild, huh?
Yeah.
Well, I hope you guys really enjoyed that.
Thanks, guys, for sticking around. If
Not,
I
hope you are not gonna be able to sleep tonight because those are really scary stories.
That was fucking terrifying.
Yeah, that kid. The one that freaked me out really good too was that the kid, his intestines popped out of his mouth, and it draped along the branches, like confetti.
Yeah.
And it came out of his ass. He had no eyes.
I like the Wendigo one. That one was
The Wendigo one was
too.
freaky too. They're all really scary stories.
Yeah.
And guys, I'll put the link. There are 6 parts, and they're long. Like, I know what I read was long, but they're even longer. And There's like 6 pages worth of all these stories. I picked the scariest ones out. If you guys want to go and read them, I'll put the link in the show notes. I'll also put all the pictures and stuff on Instagram at campinsomnia_podcast and on Twitter, which is campinsomnia. So you guys can like check that stuff out.
Wow.
And you guys can go read more about it. I suggest it because there's some other really freaky stories in that stuff as well. Some of them I didn't even cover because they're a little too graphic. I know that sounds funny, but there was one about like a child dying that was like a baby that was super graphic.
It's too much.
But if you guys want to go read that, you're more than welcome to. I know you have to be 18 years or older to read the stories because some of them get really, really graphic.
So don't lie about your age. Ask your parents' permission.
Yes, ask your parents' permission, and just like last episode, don't do drugs.
Don't do drugs. Don't talk to strangers.
Don't talk to strangers.
Be
Stranger
responsible.
danger. If you're gonna go in the forest, please let someone know where you're going, who you're going with.
Bring
Take
a
little
friend.
GPS. Take food, water, survival. You don't know what the hell you're gonna come across.
Yeah, some Bigfoot,
And
some
if
the
you
bear
come
man.
across stairs, record it. Oh my god! If you come across stairs in the forest, please record it and send us pictures. Send us pictures. Also, fun fact, you guys, I forgot to tell us in the last podcast. Well, Jake and I both forgot. If you guys have any stories about true crime or paranormal, we do have an inbox for that. It's called campinsomniastories@gmail.com, and you guys can submit your own personal stories.
Hey.
As you know, if they're paranormal, if they're true crime that you've experienced or you've had friends experience, tell them about it. Have them submit their stories so that we can
Talk
tell
about
them
it.
on the podcast.
Yeah.
Because I know Jake and I want to do like a listener story episode for you guys, so you guys can hear like other tales.
That would be pretty
Of
dope.
our fans, you guys.
We'll be able to connect easier with you guys and build a bigger fan base and be more
it's
connected.
cool. I mean, yeah, let's hear your stories. Or, like,
I'm
I think
hyped.
it's really, really, really cool.
Yeah,
Really cool.
I think it'd be pretty
Okay,
awesome.
campers. Okay, campers.
Campers!
All right, so Jacob, what's your joke? We need your joke to close
Yep.
us out.
As you know, after every podcast, I do a joke. Towards the end, just to liven up the mood after all these scary ass stories. So here's my joke.
What is it?
So the other day I was at work with Zachary. We're eating our lunch. And every lunch he packs a pickle.
Yeah, I pack us pickles for lunch.
So I was munching on this pickle. And Zachary sitting across from me. I was like, Zachary, yeah, what's up? Is like, this pickle is the real dill.
Oh my god, yeah, I remember that because first
God.
Jacob didn't even realize what he said. He's like, "Man, this pickle's a real deal." And I'm like, "You mean the real deal?" And Jacob was like, "Oh my god, that's so funny."
I never even caught on to my
never
own
caught onto
joke.
it. It was so good though. That was such a good moment. That was so unintentional too.
It was maybe it's a southern Oklahoma thing, just changing my vernacular into some country slang. Country slang.
Want some pop?
Oh god, some soddy pop.
Sody pop.
Gosh.
All right, you guys. Well, thank you.
Thank you guys for joining
for
us.
listening and also watching us. You guys can follow us on Instagram at campinsomnia_podcast. Follow us on Twitter at campinsomnia. You can also find us on YouTube at campinsomnia. You can also find us on Spotify.
We're just everywhere.
We're everywhere. We're
We
trying
are
to get on
everywhere.
iTunes and Pandora. Hopefully, by the time this comes out, we'll be on iTunes and Pandora. So let's hope. And yeah, without further ado, thank you guys.
Thank you guys.
And good luck trying to sleep tonight.
If you can't, well, I don't know what to tell you. Get a therapist.
But, bye, you guys.
Thank
See you
you.
later. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.